Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday and it's February 21st. The time right now is 12:10 and currently still in Johor Bahru. I'm going back to Singapore this afternoon. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what happened overnight. Overnight, there was no major economic news being released in the States. However, we have the CPI number released for Canada, which came in weaker than expected. That caused the Canadian dollars to actually to weaken, okay, basically. So, but today we're going to do an overall as to what happens overnight for all the other major assets. We start off with the S&P 500. We can see S&P 500 has basically traced out a very neat five-wave rally from the low of 4,663, and we can see the high traded so far is 5,048.78, and currently we have a bit of a gyration going on. Of course, we can see that there was this massive pullback here, which is as a result of last Tuesday's CPI numbers released for the United States, which came in hotter than expected. Market basically recovered most of all the losses on the back of a weaker than expected retail sales, which came in last Thursday. And of course, the sentiment was again damaged when Friday released the PPI number, which also shows something very similar to the CPI number, which came in hotter than expected. So we can see the current mood right now seems to be market want to come off. However, this could only be seen as technical pullback, because the overall trend in the US equity markets remains very, very strong, as we can see. And most likely we'll see a three-way pullback, maybe to retest the 4,919 half level that we saw last week. So this could set the stage for further rally in the equity markets if this market here can hold at 4,903. So let's see what happened tonight. Tonight we have at 3 a.m. Singapore time, technically it's Thursday morning, we're going to see the release of the FOMC minutes for the last meeting, which occur at the end of January and the beginning of February. So we want to see what the various voting members of the committee actually voted, how many actually voted in favor of an immediate cut in interest rates, or some is holding out for more data. We will have to see the minutes itself. And of course, the biggest news is going to come after the market close tonight, when tech giant Nvidia is going to release their earnings. And this is going to be a big event, because if the option activity is going to be any indication, market traders is actually expecting a very volatile movements in Nvidia stocks, whether it is going to be above or below expectation. So do watch out for volatility coming right after the market close at 5 a.m. Singapore time, or rather 6 a.m. Singapore time, if we consider the daylight savings. Now let's move on to take a look at the Dow Jones. Now, the Dow Jones 4 hours time frame also shows the same pattern as what we see in the S&P 500. Basically, we have a very, very robust rally, and the market is kept currently just under the 39,000 handle, and market did pull back on the back of the CPI number released last Tuesday, which saw the Dow Jones came down to 38,037. So by and large, you can see when you talk about the pullback that we see overnight, the pullback is actually quite shallow, but by and large, we do expect this three wave to extend lower. Tonight, we're going to get some kind of resolution as the minutes of the FOMC is being released. So if the market pulls back and ease back to 38,037 to 38,300, that could be an area of opportunity for the buy side if you still believe that this bull market is not over yet and there will be further gains ahead. So this could be one area to watch out for. Now, in the Nasdaq 100, in which I think it's going to be quite volatile, because you can see while the Dow Jones did not take out last Tuesday's low, the Nasdaq did. Okay, the Nasdaq has basically completed a three-wave pullback, although it failed to get into the ideal trading range at 17,315 to 17,373. The market low was only 17,394. So we can see that the market missed this ideal bracket just by a whisker, but basically it has already finished its three-wave pullback and could be poised to go higher this evening, tonight in New York. So let's see what happened tonight, okay? And in the currencies, we can see that the dollar index actually rose last night on the back of the CPI numbers released, and I'm talking about CPI number for Canada, okay? But the market went out, the dollar index went out to a low of 103.67, and this also completed a three-wave pullback, and it's ideal to buy if you think that the entire rally here for 100.29 remains intact. We should be seeing higher prices in the dollar itself, because this three-way pullback is almost perfect, okay? Because it not only pull back within the 100% to 123.6% retracement extension of this initial three-way push. We want to see that the market is also holding up very well at the 50% mark of this entire rise from 102.53 to 104.85. So I think the market is really poised, technically speaking, to the upside. Okay. And for euro dollar, you can see the euro dollar also did a three-wave rally and coinciding with the pullback in the dollar index. So overnight, you can see the high of 108.38 is almost perfect. You can see this is almost a near perfect three-wave rally. But however, the only concern is that the market has broke above this falling channel, and that could change the market a little bit. And if we see a pullback, we want to see prices go below this line here, which is the top of the falling channel previously, now act as a support. So that will be crucial in the bearish outlook for the euro dollar. If this trade turn out to be what I think it will be, which is a resumption of the downtrend, then a 106.94 will not be able to hold. I think the market has a potential to go all the way to 106. So let's watch out for this. But if the market accelerates to the upside and take out 109.30, everything is gone for the bearish outlook. And in sterling do looks a little bit more bullish than the euro dollar. You can see the structure here, although the market is not going anywhere in any impulsive way, but structurally it does suggest that we will see a challenge on the 126.86 high that we saw last week. Again, this is part of a three-wave rally. Top side is quite limited. I think the market will be kept at 127 if the market starts to rally in the sterling. Okay. And over in the Aussie, we can see Aussie is actually poised to come back down. The high traded overnight is 0.6578. It was actually a little bit higher than what I like, but basically the market is still poised to come down because in the overall scheme of things, the 4 hours suggested the market is basically in the downtrend, and this is still a market that should be coming down further. If the dollar strengthens, then of course all this currency is going to unwind. So let's see what happens tonight after the FOMC minutes are released. Okay. And in the dollar yen, we can see dollar yen remain also being sold off last night, but this pullback here is a three-wave pullback. So you can see that the market pullback here almost hit 100% at 149.66 with a low of 149.67. So technically, it has already finished its pullback and could be possibly poised to go higher. If the market drift lower later on in the day to 149.67 to 149.80, that could be an area to buy for the market to re-challenge the 150.63 high seen so far this year. Okay. And in the in dollar Canadian, now dollar Canadian of course went higher on the back of these lower than expected CPI numbers for Canada yesterday. So this spike here is basically a sign that the Canadian dollar is weak and the dollar is in favor. But we can see the market has problem getting beyond the 135.30 levels convincingly, and now he's eased back a little bit. So from the structure, it does look like the Canadian dollars may actually go higher, but we do not. We will have to see what happens. I think this area here is something we have to watch if you are still going to maintain a bullish bias. This area here could be one area to watch. Let me highlight this area to you. Now this area is bordered by the low of 135 and a high here is 135.05. Okay, so within this five pip range, the market could actually have a reaction. Of course, this is a 15 minutes. So let's see if the market between here 135 to 135.15 can 135.05 can actually hold. Okay. Now in the 4 hours time frame, this is what we see here. This rally from the 131.76 here does not look complete. So I think there's a good chance market may go higher and aim for at least 136.60. So look out for further gains in dollar Canadian. Now in the gold market, now gold actually has rose overnight on the back of a weaker dollar. We can see that although the dollar has does look like it's poised to go higher, but we have to see because gold prices is suggesting that it may go higher. But for the time being, so long as the market do not take out a $2,031.60 high, there's a good chance market might fall back here. So we will have to watch how this thing unfolds because the market is still part of this corrective pullback, which have not finished its three-wave pull. The ideal level will be $1,979. So I do expect if this market sentiment momentum started to ease off, there is a possibility we may see gold prices come back to test the lower end of this $1,900. And in silver, we can see silver is also trading marginally higher than gold overnight. You can see that the market rallied from $21.86 to a high of $23.49. With a pullback last night in a three-wave pattern, now the market has finished its minimum three-wave pullback, maybe getting ready to rally. So the sentiment between the gold and silver is a little bit different, with the bias to the upside for silver and bearish for the gold. Okay, so in the meantime, you have to watch for the individual performance. And over in Bitcoin, we can see Bitcoin actually have a major rally last night. The market attempted to take out the 53,000 handle, failed, and come back down to $30,300 thereabout. No, it actually breached the 50. I think let's see what's the low. The low here is the low traded to as low as 50,784. Okay, so this was actually quite a fair bit of a move. Market actually moved 4% within 2 hours to the downside before recovering. Currently, it's about just under 52,000. If the market can go up a little bit, especially in the 15 minutes, I'm actually hoping the market can go back to $52,660 for me to sell this, because obviously at above 53,000, there's a lot of selling orders here. So I think selling is probably quite a safe bet, and this is probably a very low risk, high reward trade setup, because if the market wants to go down, I think there's a very good chance it will go down to test the 48,400 levels. So from that level of 52,600 all the way to 48,400, that's quite a bit of a move. So maybe we can anchor for this if you are going to be interested in this particular trade setup, which I'm actively watching. This is all I have for you today. In the meantime, you take care, and I come back to you tomorrow with further updates. Bye-bye.